Let's go. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Claire. How are you doing?
Good. No thumbs up.
Hold on. Oh, I don't have an actual giant foam finger behind me, sadly. But yes, two giant orange figurative thumbs up.
Now, I feel like at least from my end of things, your shirt does not look orange. It looks coral. Is that true?
It's not my standard likable orange,
Okay.
but it
Okay.
is or I would say orange,
Okay. So
maybe
it's not
salmon.
coral.
Could be
See,
salmon.
salmon's a different color, but okay.
But you should know I'm still wearing orange shoes as always. It's
As
just
always.
extremely difficult on Skype for me to actually
Of the
show you those
shoes.
shoes without looking really ridiculous.
Right. And the last thing you would want to do is look ridiculous. Okay, I'm going to read your bio for folks who don't already know everything about you. Dave Kerpen is the co-founder and chairman of Likeable Media, an award-winning social media and word of mouth marketing firm, and the founder and CEO of Likeable Local, a software platform for small businesses. Dave and his wife Carrie lead two teams of over 75 people in working with brands, organizations, governments, and small businesses to better leverage social media to become more transparent, responsive, engaged, and likable. Likeable Media was named to both the 2011 and 2012 Inc. 500 list of fastest growing private companies in the United States, and to both the 2012 and 2013 Crain's Best Places to Work in New York, number 6 in 2013. Dave is a frequent keynote speaker at venues around the world and a contributing writer for LinkedIn, Mashable, Inc., Fast Company, The Huffington Post, Forbes, and The Washington Post. Whew. His work has been featured on CNBC's On the Money, ABC World News Tonight, the CBS Early Show, BBC World News, and the New York Times, among others. Dave is proud of his likable business accomplishments, but prouder of his other joint venture with Carrie, their 3 kids at home in Port Washington, New York. And we were just discussing one of your children just turned 13 yesterday, an exciting age. Sounds
Very
terrible.
exciting. Look, I've got a very exciting range because I've got now a teenager and an infant. So there's not a ton of people that have both a teenager and an infant at home, and then one in the middle.
And it's like even worse next year because next year you have a teenager and a toddler. That's
Yes,
sad, Dave.
so I hear. Exactly.
Oh man. So can you kind of tell us a little bit more about how you got here where you are? I don't know if you want to include the reality television part of the journey or not, but you can.
Well, since you mentioned I will, I don't normally, but I'll try to do the relatively quick story. I mean, it's a fantastic, crazy story. I met I was working at Disney in sales after I graduated from college, and I was actually the number one salesperson in the country until this woman started working at my office. She dropped me to number two fairly quickly. I fell madly in love with her, obviously, because if you can't beat them, join them. And I knew right away I wanted to marry this woman and go into business with her. There was a slight problem. She was married already, so she ended up moving to New York with her husband to focus on her marriage. I did what anyone with unrequited love would do. I went on a reality TV show to find true love, a really sleazy show on Fox called Paradise Hotel.
Which I
Sexy
watched in
singles,
college.
sexy singles at a luxury resort, and me made for some very funny and entertaining television. After Paradise Hotel, I was living in Los Angeles, D-list celebrity. I hadn't talked to Carrie in over a year, but I missed her. So out of the blue, from the American Music Awards in 2003, I called Carrie and I said, "Hey, Carrie, I'm hanging out on the red carpet, kind of trying to show off." I was like, "What are you doing?" She said, "I'm actually at home, going through a divorce now." I said, "I'm so sorry to hear that." And I hopped on a plane. I went to New York. We started dating. I fell in love with her a second time, and it was much smoother that time around, and
Less
we ended
hiccups.
up getting engaged. And we both had a very strong sales and marketing background, but we didn't have enough money to pay for the wedding of our dreams. I really wanted to get married in a large venue. I'm kind of a larger than life type personality, and I wanted to be able to invite all my friends and family. And so we had an idea, and we ended up partnering with a minor league baseball team, the Brooklyn Cyclones, an affiliate of the Mets. And we created a sponsored wedding promotion called Our Field of Dreams. And we got married at the end of a baseball game in front of 500 friends and family and 5,000 strangers. The event was awesome. We ended up generating about $100,000 in sponsorship revenue from our wedding vendors slash sponsors and $20,000 for charity. And the event was awesome because I got married to the love of my life on a baseball field. But It was also a very successful marketing event. We generated just a ton of media, a ton of social media back then in 2006. Blogs were all the rage. And our wedding vendors, including 1-800-Flowers.com, who had sponsored our flowers, and Entenmann's, who had sponsored our desserts, said, this was awesome, Dave and Carrie. What are you guys going to do next? And we couldn't get married again, so we started a company instead. And that company was Likeable Media. It's grown to become one of the fastest growing, largest now independent social media agencies in the country, working with just some of the world's biggest brands, GE, Verizon, Johnson & Johnson, 1-800-Flowers.com, Seamless Grubhub, US Bank, the list goes on and on. But 3 years ago, I became increasingly passionate about working with small businesses. I had written a book that's been very successful called Likeable Social Media. But it's one thing to read a book. It's another thing to actually make something work for you day in, day out. And small businesses really struggle with social media and being able to make social media work for them. So I took everything we had learned working with big brands over at Likeable Media, and we put it into a software platform to help small businesses automate and manage their social media presence. And that second company is called Likeable Local, and we've been at that for just about 3 years now. And we have thousands of small business customers. So that's really my major focus now, although my wife continues to be focused on our first company. And we've been very, very blessed. You mentioned in the bio 75 staff people. We're now over 100 combined. So and best places to work in. You mentioned 2012 and 2013, but I have to update that bio. It was also 2014 and 2015 best places to work.
Well,
so
did you notice? Did you notice though? I did update the bio with the number of children. I knew to make that change.
You did. No, I appreciated that, Claire. Sometimes people mess up that. That's the key. The most important growth statistic is that one of my organizations grew by 25% last year, namely the family. So yes, you are right about that. But actually, in terms of professional accomplishments, that's probably the proudest accomplishment is being named to the best places to work in New York for four straight years, because to me, workplace culture is really, really important. And I think that's kind of the sign that we're building something good.
Okay, you say in The Art of People that the most important question you'll ever ask is, how can I help you, right? So I want to hear who helped you.
Yeah, sure. Well, let me tell you the story first of the how can I help you, and then I'll talk to some of the people that have helped me through the years. Being, again, fortunately, as successful as I've been, I get hit up by salespeople like pretty much every day. And the most common culprits, if you're watching, bring it on, is commercial real estate folks and financial planners. Like, I literally get hit up every single day in each of these categories. And so, I try to respond to everyone. I have a polite, sorry, I'm all set there, kind of email, whatever. This guy reached out a couple years ago. His name is Michael Kislin, and he said, look, I want 15 minutes of your time, and I have one question for you, and I promise not to sell you anything. And I was pretty intrigued. So I was like, okay, cool, come on in. So he comes in, and he says, okay, so my one question is, how can I help you? And I don't know exactly what the answer is going to be, and I know you might not know, but for instance, I know a lot of people, and I can potentially introduce you to somebody that would be helpful for your business. Is there a certain category of people right now that would be helpful for you right now? And I said, okay, I'll play. We're fundraising for our latest venture. I would love to be introduced to a venture capitalist if you know any. He said, sure, I know a few. I'm going to introduce you. I said, cool, thank you so much. So tell me a little bit more about what you do, and I'll see if there's a fit. And he said, what are you talking about? I said, I had one question for you, and I promise not to sell you. I'm not going to sell you anything. What do you mean? I said, no, really. Tell me. I said, no. He said, absolutely not. Well, stay in touch, and I look forward to helping you. So he made the VC intros as promised. Didn't hear from him as promised. Several months later, I had a few dollars, and I was like, you know what? I want a financial planner to put this money with. I'm going to call Michael. I called him up.
Wow.
I gave him my business. He was awesome. I ended up referring him to several friends and family members that are now clients of his. So this guy has done a lot of business with me and through me. And he didn't get it by being a pesky salesperson. He got it by being truly, authentically there to help. And it's a really hard mantra to live, especially when you're, first starting out
Mm-hmm.
and need to build a business. But I have been very, very blessed um, by people that I've helped that in turn have helped me through the years. So I really, really believe in this help others first mantra. And yeah, so your actual question was who's helped me. Just a wide variety of people, but some of my mentors include Jim McCann, the CEO and founder of 100flowers.com, and Rob High, who's one of the leading marketing agency consultants in the world. Christian McMahon, the former CMO of Heineken. And what I've been very blessed to do, what I've been able to do with these folks is cultivate them and get to a place where they are helping me consistently and formally through an advisory board, and it's been it's been amazing for our businesses.
That's really smart. So you've kind of taken the kind of like one-on-one mentorship or something into the advisory board model that works on a larger scale to help your businesses. Huh.
It's enormous, and the multiplicity effect is in action. So
Right.
Instead of me one-on-one people helping me, it's like get everyone in the room focused on me, and I'm like, wow, it's amazing the brilliant stuff that comes out of it. And in the Art of People, I write about this. It's funny because I had a bulk buyer. We'll go back to selling books for a second. Buy 1,000 copies of this, and he gave.
Wow.
He wanted, like, he goes, I'm going to send a note out to everyone I bought the books. So, like, what chapter should I send them to? And it was for entrepreneurs, and I said, send them to the chapter on building an advisory board, because I don't think advisory boards should be for big companies. I think advisory boards should be for everyone, and there's no reason that you can't. Every single person that's watching this can't say, okay, these are some friends I've made through the years. These are some mentors I've made through the years. These are people that I might be connected to through somebody I know. Let me get them all together in a room 4 times a year, buy them dinner, offer them some equity or a few bucks, and get them focused on helping me with the challenges in my business and in my life. Like, I think that it's an amazing gift that you can give to yourself, and you'd be very surprised with how many people are out there are willing to help you, especially if you've lived your life, looking to help them through the years and truly offering them value. And I can say that while my advisors have provided me with a ton of value, like, I've worked really hard to provide them with value. Just introducing them to one another has been really valuable for them. So everyone out there can absolutely build their own advisory board and reap the benefits of that.
I mean, this sounds like what you also say in the book, where you talk about how you should figure out ways to help other people come up with your next big idea, or to come up with good ideas, right?
Well, that's a little different. I mean, when I talk about that, I'm referring to so in general, people like to have their ideas be recognized, and people like to be praised. So when you have an idea for something, and I told the story in the book about how, I had an idea for a client. It was a really sort of larger than life idea of doing a promotion where we gave away cash in the streets of New York and drove people to the shopping mall, and then at the shopping mall they could win more cash and different prizes. And I pitched the client this idea, and they said no. And then they came back to me the next day and said, hey, I have an idea. What if we, instead of just giving out cash, gave cash with like a sticker that people would wear that would drive people, the sticker would actually drive people to come to the mall. And I was like, that is an amazing idea. Great idea. Let's totally go with your idea. And it just shifted the perception very quickly, and we were able to sell through the idea because it wasn't mine, it was hers. And so the point here is, there's no reason to have an ego about your ideas. If you want your ideas to be adopted, figure out a way to help other people feel like it was their idea and they really contributed, and praise them for that, and you'll find yourself pretty quickly getting your idea through.
So tell me what it means to make it a honey day.
Sure. Honey is an employee of Likeable Media's, And I'm a very, very big fan of surprise and delight. So I believe that when you surprise and delight your customers, your prospects, your employees, that great things happen. I actually just wrote a blog post about this too, about variable rewards theory, right? So when you go into a casino, and I happen to be a big fan, when you go into a casino,
You're a casino guy. Interesting.
oh, huge. I mean, Claire, you and I have done some travel, but we have not any countries in which there are casinos.
Macau. We need to go to Macau together, man.
I did hit up the casino in Buenos Aires, although that wasn't my favorite. They actually told me to quiet down. It was the first time I've ever had. I was winning and I was doing really well, and the floor manager came over and said, "Can you please quiet down?" And I guess Argentinian culture is like kind of more like understated and laid back than like the Dave Kerpen ended up really being loud and enjoying. Anyway, I digress. When you walk into a casino, at any given point, there are slot machines going off. And you see lights and you hear bells. Now, it's only one or two slot machines out of dozens or even hundreds that are going off at any given point. But the casino is using what psychologists call variable rewards theory. The idea that you never know where and when that next slot machine is going to go off, but it's going off somewhere. And that gets people coming back over and over and over again and continuing to play that slot machine. When you surprise your customers and your prospects and your staff people, it's not just the person that gets surprised, it's the rest of the organization, the rest of your customer base, your prospect base, your staff people that gets super energized and excited and, most important, coming back for more. So all of that is to say that one of the things I'm proud about is with Honey Days that I had nothing to do with it. It was our director of talent that came up with the idea, but he basically said, we're going to have a day completely randomly to honor one of our employees named Honey. And Honey walked in one day, and there was like a banner and balloons and stickers, and it was just like announced that it was Honey Day, and the entire day was like the whole company was celebrating her. And so like that was, Honey felt amazing, but the whole thing was that like the whole staff was like, oh my God, I wonder when I'll get my day. And like, this is an amazing company to work at that one day you can just show up and the entire company is going to be celebrating a kind of lower level employee. Like it was really cool. And I think that the lesson here, most important, is figure out ways that you can celebrate and surprise and delight your customers, prospects, and staff, because it goes just such a long way towards getting people excited, keeping people coming back for more, building the kind of culture which is contagious in a good way.
So one of the things that I most it's like one of my favorite stories in life is coming to your office. I guess this maybe was like 3 or 4 years ago, and seeing behind your desk, there was this like, I don't know if it was a whiteboard. I feel like it was like butcher paper with your goals on it.
Yeah.
And it was business goals, but then, and I thought I was just sort of vaguely looking at business goals. And then I see have another baby or something, or like have a third child. And it was like a question mark, but it was like underlined. And it was like there in the middle of your big office with all these people looking at it. And I thought that was fascinating, right? But then it was even more fascinating to me that then you went and had another baby who's now a year old, right? So I'm wondering, how do you think about kind of goal setting in terms of success? Because, it seems like you obviously care about goal setting if it was like on butcher paper for everyone to see, but I don't know.
Yeah, so I think it speaks to a couple things. First of all, I'm an enormous fan of transparency. Like, you like just share, because it's not a bad thing; it's a good thing. We can get into that more, but like, there's a lot of value to radical transparency. And I'm a huge fan of goals and accountability. And so, to me, a lot of people have wishes, and wishes don't come true unless you make them come true. So that's really more like a goal. So a wish that you can make come true is a goal with a plan, right? A smart goal with a plan.
Yep.
So I'm very into goals, and I'm into accountability. So so posting them in the middle of my office for the world to see helps keep me accountable. And having an accountability partner, I have a chapter in The Art of People called "Don't Be Accountable to Yourself," which means be accountable to other people, because you're going to be much more successful if you're accountable to others than if you're just accountable to yourself. So I'm a big fan of accountability partners. And yeah, I mean, it's funny you mentioned that have a third child, because I actually put the have a third. I did have a question mark with have a third child, because I felt that, well, that was a goal. It was a goal that I had a lot less control over than maybe some of my other goals.
Sure.
So it was a little bit removed, but it was outside the family goals, which had like things like, do homework with my kids at least 3 days a week, right? Only miss 1 weekend a year away from my house. Be present for bedtime at least 5 days a week. So these are important goals, and we all talk about the professional goals all the time. So like that's almost like boring. But so of course I have the professional goals, but to me, setting the personal goals and the family goals really helps me actually have a plan and have something to work towards as well.
I love it. So you have a line where you say being likable isn't just about social media or business, or it's not just about social media or business. It's about living life to its fullest. Tell me what you mean by that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just, why bother if you're not going to be likable? Like, I don't really, so I wrote Likeable Social Media, my first book, because I really believed that, the organizations and brands and people that will win, and I still do believe this, of course, in social media, are the ones that are likable, the ones that are responsive, transparent, authentic, likable. And then as I was speaking about that book all over the world, I realized, wait a minute, being likable isn't just for social media, it's kind of like for business. And so I wrote Likeable Business. And then as I was speaking about that book around the world, I was like, wait a minute, being likable isn't just about like social media or business, it's about like life and relationships and just living a life worth living, right? And that's sort of what drove me to write Art of People, because it's like, whether you are a CEO of a Fortune 500 company or a stay-at-home mom, you have, your life is, the success and happiness in your life is based on your relationships with other people. Like, it just is. So why the heck wouldn't you be likable? Why wouldn't you treat people, by the way, not the way you want to be treated? That's the golden rule. Better yet, use the platinum rule and treat people the way they'd want to be treated.
Nice.
That's, and all the other sort of things that I write about and really believe in. This is what makes you likable, and to me, and it's just my humble opinion, but makes that life worth living. And I'm going to get a little vulnerable for a second.
Okay, do it.
Go out on a limb.
Do it.
I'm going to go out on a limb.
Do it.
So recently, I've had some struggles with cash flow in my current business, in Likeable Local, and we're doing great. We're growing every month, thousands of customers, but the VCs haven't given me all the money that I need. So, but that's really brought me down. It's like, that sucks, man. That sucks. And I went to my therapist. Yeah, I have a therapist. I love therapy.
Yeah.
And my therapist said, Dave, you're so results focused, and that served you so well in so many cases, but it's also hurt you because you don't let yourself be happy unless you hit these increasingly difficult results. And it's like shit, like, wow, I am working myself silly to get the results, and then if I come up short, if I've only built a $3 million company in 2 years instead of a $5 million company, I'm miserable. Well, instead of looking at the results, my therapist said, look at the values, look at the intention, look at how you're living your life, and are you living your life according to your core values? And that was a huge wake-up call for me, because it's like, yeah, because you know what? I am living my life according to my core values. Yes, I'm being likable and responsive and transparent and the things that I really believe in and write in. And if I don't always have the results that I want, but I know that I'm living my core values, I can live with that. I can even work on maybe even trying, dare I say, let me say it out loud, be happy with that. and I think that it's really important, because, at the end of the day, at the end of our entire lives, what we're going to really remember most is the relationships that we had with others and the impact we had on those others. And so this concept that I have frankly stumbled upon through the years of Likeable and what that means, and that what that means as a brand and as a way of living life, to me that is more important than any of those results, than any of the things that you read that were so kind and generous in my bio. Like that's most important. And I'm just gonna, if you'll allow me, I'm gonna continue to digress and tell a story that is not in any of my books. I have written about it though. I've blogged about it, but it was an unbelievable perspective changer for me a few years ago. I'm sure I've told you the story, Claire, so I'm sorry for repeating it, but all of the viewers haven't seen the story or heard the story. And in order to tell the story, I will share with you that one of my long-term, this is 10-year plan goals, is to run for a public office. Okay, and I thought about it before. I dabbled with it. I decided to postpone it. I'm going to run for public office one day, maybe governor, maybe president. Who knows? But I'm on a plane a few years ago from New York to Boston. The plane takes off, and I look to my right, and I see that the guy next to me is reading this big print, and I see my dear friend, the late Ted Kennedy. And then I see the words, "When I authored the GI Bill." And I'm like, wow, this is a congressman of some sort. I don't know who it is. So, but one thing that I really believe in also, and I write about this, is, you got to start up the conversation because you never know where it'll go. And, why regret not starting that conversation? So I introduced myself. I said, "Hi, I'm Dave Kerpen. So great to meet you." And he introduced himself as well. "Hi, I'm Senator Frank Lautenberg." And we went on to have a 45-minute conversation, talk the entire plane, because, of course, I had him right next to me. He had no choice. And this guy just blew my mind. He had lived a 25-year career in the Senate. He had wrote the No Smoking on Airlines bill.
Whoa.
He had written the 21 age of consent to drink in this country bill.
Whoa.
He had done so much for veterans. He had just had this amazing 25-year career in the Senate. But then the really crazy thing is, before his 25-year career in the Senate, Claire, he founded a little company called ADP, which is now one of the largest payroll companies in the world, over 40,000 employees. He took the company public. He built the company tremendously. So this is a guy that lived this unbelievable 25-year career in business, followed by an unbelievable 25-plus year career in government. And at the time, I had 2 kids, and we talked about all these different issues. And he said to me at the end of the conversation, the plane is landing, and he says to me, "Dave, I know you're thinking about government, you're thinking about your business, and I want to share with you a picture of my greatest legacy." And I'm like, oh my God, what's he going to whip out? Like a picture of him with one of the presidents, or the stock certificate when he took his company public, or who knows what it's going to be. And he takes out his phone and he shows me, he says, "This is a picture of my 4 kids and my 7 grandkids. He said, "By far, this is my legacy." And he said to me, "None of my accomplishments in government or business are going to be on my tombstone. And all of the names of these people are." And it was like, wow, it was like unbelievable reminder to me. And that's what really pushed me to want to have that 3rd child. And I think about that all the time because I'm so driven, and so many of the people that are watching are very driven to build a career, to build their businesses. And that's all really amazing, don't get me wrong. But ultimately, the impact that you'll have on the world is most the impact that you're going to have in the relationships that you have with your children and with your family if you choose not to have children. And as a quick PS, unfortunately, the senator, we actually spent a couple of other times together, which was amazing. And then sadly, the senator passed away, and I had the fortune of attending his funeral, and it was unbelievable. Hillary Clinton spoke, and Joe Biden spoke, and a lot of really amazing, distinguished folks spoke, but his 4 kids and his 7 grandkids also spoke, and each one of them, to a T, talked about what a great father and grandfather he
Oh,
was respectively. And it was such a great reminder of what's important because, and it's so hard to remember this sometimes when we're grinding, when we're hustling, when we're working. And I'm sorry, I know I've very much digressed from some of the stuff that we were talking about here, but I just felt compelled to share. So I don't even know what your last question was. Oh,
but
it was about living a life of
that's
likable. Yeah.
incredible. That is what success is, right? That's
Yeah, that's
amazing.
what success is, and that's what living a life worth living is to me. Is being likable to your friends, your family, your colleagues, the people that you come into contact with, because that's what they're going to remember. And I'm gonna wrap up finally and shut up. And I'm gonna butcher this quote, so I'm just gonna paraphrase it. But I believe it was Maya Angelou that said something to the effect of, "People are not going to remember what you did or what you said, but they're going to remember how they felt around you." And that's what I think it's about. It's about treating people right and being likable. And in the long run, things work out in an amazing way when you can do that. Okay,
I
I'm done.
mean,
Rant over.
I can't say or ask anything else now because that was such an amazing story. I mean, in general, this interview was just absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Dave, so much. Can you tell people what you're really working on right now and where folks can find more about you?
So I mentioned, of course, that responsiveness is one of my core values. So I get hundreds of comments and questions every single week, and I respond to every one. So I'm very into that. I love the challenge. I only sleep 3 to 4 hours a night. So people, if they have any questions, comments, anything, can hit me up on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. Just Google Likeable or Dave Kerpen, my name, and you can chat with me. And of course, The Art of People is my newest book. You can check it out. And then if you happen to be a small business, you can check out Likeable Local, our software for small businesses. But it's been a great pleasure. I hope that folks can get a little something out of this. And I encourage people to continue the conversation anytime.
Thank you so much, Dave. This was great.
My pleasure.